Have you been thinking about buying a property to do short-term vacation rentals with? I have 10 tips that are very valuable. Stay tuned. Short-term rentals can be a very lucrative option for investing in real estate. You aren't alone if you're considering investing in one. This is an excellent opportunity even for an investor just starting out. There are many advantages to having a short-term rental. Typically, you get paid at the time of the booking or very shortly after. This helps cut down on lost money when you have tenants that don't pay their rent. You don't have to deal with long-term tenants and perhaps the fear of them squatting and not being able to get them out if they end up being the worst tenants you could ever imagine. The average monthly income can be quite impressive, up to several thousand a month. There are platforms that you can market your property on that are already built in, such as Airbnb and VRBO. Once you secure a team of maintenance people and use them as part of your team, you can create a relatively low hassle factor. The platforms like Airbnb handle the money transactions and it goes right into your bank account. If you're thinking about investing in short-term rentals, you need to have a plan. There's a little work that you have to put in to get you started. Have you been thinking of how to achieve financial independence through something unique? This just may be right up your alley. Here are some great tips while you're planning your strategy for investing in short-term rentals. Tip number 1, choose your market very carefully. When looking at the market where you want to buy, you can buy a property in your local market or a more distant town. Make sure that you find out what all the local, county, city, and HOA regulations are. You want to make sure that they do allow short-term vacation rentals. Tools like AirDNA can give you a lot of information. I can share with you how to use AirDNA to come up with important data like the income you can expect and how often properties are rented. Some areas you may want to explore for short-term vacation rentals would be our Greater Palm Springs area, large metropolitan areas, college towns, and areas where hospitals are, and even areas that have professional college team sports. Feel free to reach out to me and I can set you up on a search for short-term vacation properties here in the Greater Palm Springs area. I can also help you navigate the 9 cities here that do allow them and the HOAs that will allow them as well. As we all know, pictures can be very deceiving. So if my clients find a property online they think they have an interest in, and if they aren't local, I will go and check it out and also do a video for them. It's important to drive through the neighborhood and figure out how close to attractions and features that you know that the guests would love and appreciate. In our Greater Palm Springs area, we are lucky to have special events happening year-round that attracts guests from all around the world, such as the Coachella Valley Music Festival, Stagecoach Music Festival, the B&P Paribas Open, Modernism Week, and not to mention that the Palm Springs area is a top destination for golf. Tip number 2, do recognize that this is more of an active investment. It does require a little bit of work up front, and then it becomes more passive down the line. After you close escrow on your property, you may have to do some updates until you're ready to go live. But once you do, you're going to start getting bookings right away from guests and your income will be more passive over time. My husband and I have owned a handful of short-term vacation rentals in the past 15 years, and I can say this has now become a passive income. It has allowed my husband to retire and for me to feel better that there is income coming in. Tip number 3. A short-term vacation rental doesn't always have to be vacation homes. You can make a lot of income just renting your home to someone who wants a staycation. We have had several young professional people that were allowed to work from home and stay at our homes for a couple months. They worked from home and then enjoyed the pool and other events here in the desert after work and on weekends. Work while you vacation? What could be better? There are also guests that book a month or 2 at a time because they have sold their house and waiting on their new build to be move-in ready. If you're near a large hospital, you can host families who perhaps have a loved one getting a procedure and need a comfortable place to stay that feels more like home. This is a great way to increase your occupancy. Tip number 4, please use a professional photographer. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, that is so the truth. Perhaps find a photographer who might specialize in short-term rental pictures or one who does real estate photography. The money you use for using a high-end photographer will pay off, trust me. This was a hard lesson we learned. My husband took ours at our first short-term rental property we had. Well, we thought the pictures looked great, and yes, we were getting bookings, but when the guests left reviews for us, practically everyone said the house looks even nicer than the pictures. Well, that's when the lights went on and we decided to hire a professional photographer. All of a sudden, we were getting more bookings than ever. Over 90% of people who book a place to stay do so on the basis of the pictures they see. Ask your local realtor for some referrals for some amazing photographers. Tip number 5, be selective on who your tenants are. My husband and I only allow age 25 and older. You can also consider having a 2 to 3 night minimum stay. And do make sure that you set rules and expectations for your guests. State in the rules that you don't allow parties or events, and then reinstate that in your guest book. We also, at the time of booking, make sure that they are aware of the rules and are fine with them. And make sure that you add a fee for the cleaning. Do install cameras outside of the property. This way you can keep a close eye on how many people are coming and going. Cameras have saved us a few times. How about sending previous clients a schedule of what's going on near you and then give them a small discount or priority booking so that they can pick up their rental days first. If you have hosted them in the past and were great guests, try to develop a loyalty program with them. Tip number 7. There is a big difference between local and state regulations. The regulations for short-term and long-term rentals are not the same. Short-term renters don't have the same rights as long-term tenants. You can convert short-term tenants into long-term, but just make sure that you look at the different set of regulations. Do your homework on if the community allows short-term, and if it's an HOA community, find out what their rules are. Some HOAs allow them while others don't. And do pay close attention to the rules so you don't make any mistakes while purchasing your property. Tip number 8. This one is pretty obvious, but do plan your financing. A typical investment property needs about 20 to 25% down. I have 2 great lenders here that I can refer you to. Also, talk to your accountant and see what kind of write-offs that you can deduct to help lower your tax liability. Tip number 9. Know how much income you can expect. Short-term rentals can be very lucrative. You can go on AirDNA and see what a particular property's income potential can be prior to purchasing it. Prepare a budget and figure out your expected expenses. If you can manage it yourself, you can save a lot of money rather than hiring a property manager. There is something to be said though if you can be hands-off. You just would have to add that into your expenses. Look at other properties near the one you're thinking about buying and go on Airbnb or one of the booking platforms and see what kind of bookings that they're getting and what is the dollar amount per night. Tip number 10, plan for your expenses. Some typical expenses are short-term rental insurance, principal and interest on your mortgage, taxes, utilities, entertainment package for your TV, supplies like toilet paper and toiletries, furniture for your property, or you may luck out like my husband and I did, and ours came completely turnkey. It was a short-term rental prior and came with even a supply of paper towels, toilet paper, and everything you would need for a short-term vacation rental. Again, make that budget. Short-term rentals can really offer a great opportunity to diversify your income opportunities and feel more financially secure. Yes, it may take some time in the beginning for planning and perhaps a bit of work, but then you can reap the benefits for all your hard work. Now be sure to watch this video, what you must know about owning a short-term vacation rental in the Palm Springs area.